Hello! After the darkness of especially yesterday's vlog, here's the proof. Sunlight is actually a known concept in Finland during winter. Found these guys from the sidewalk. Frozen oranges. Somebody will be missing their vitamin C, I think. I'm on my way to Tokmanni, which is a few hundred meters away. And it's one of those, well, it's a store, convenience store chain in Finland. You know, one of those places where you can go and buy anything from clothes and toys to kitchen things like kettles, plates, containers, to airsoft guns, dog food and motor oil. You know, one of those places. And that's a pretty cheap place. I mean, the quality, what comes to clothes, for example, is not always there, but it's cheap. And I think there's one of those chains in every country or in every region. I think there's one of those. You have your Walmarts, you know, Aldi's, I think it's called in UK. I'm not sure though. But anyways, I need a small USB hub with 2 or 3 ports, because I've been having this kind of well, it's not a hassle really, but it's kind of annoying, because on my main, what's connected to my main PC USB wise, 2 mices, one for gaming and one for general use because of different sensitivities. I could always change the sensitivity from Razer software, but I'm just too lazy, so it's easier for me to have 2 different mices. And 2 keyboards, one for typing and one is a MIDI keyboard with piano keys, and it works as a MIDI controller also. Audio interface and a 1 booster USB stick. So whenever I have to plug in another USB stick or a camera or something like that, I have to unplug something that's already in there. So I need a small hub just for convenience sake. And I think I can find it from there. I already bought one years ago and I'm hoping that they're still selling those same ones, because I haven't had any connection issues or anything like that with it, so I would like to get another one. Thinking now I was an idiot when I bought just one, because that one is now connected to my wife's laptop and she needs it. So, and while I was walking, I was listening to Skazier's newest vlog, and he was talking about smart watches. And I've never actually used a wristwatch. When I was a kid, my parents tried to teach me to wear one, but I've never got into it. I've had those round things that you keep in your pocket, those kind of old men watches, but that was a phase. And pretty much the only watch I have, or I had previously, I'm coming to that soon, was my phone. That was my only watch. Like, that's the case with many people these days. They only have their phone. I mean, using a wristwatch is something that's kind of a disappearing thing. I think I could be wrong badly. But still, what comes to those smart watches, I bought a couple of months ago. I bought myself a activity bracelet, and this is just cheap, the Denver bracelet. And I have most of the functions turned off, because there are, well, for example, if you get a phone call, this will start vibrating, telling you that hey, there's someone on the line. Or if you get a text message, or I'm not sure if I can configure this to alarm when I get emails. Not sure. But the only functions I have turned on is the this thing is monitoring the amount of steps I'm taking during the day. It monitors the amount and quality of sleep, and it alarms 3 minutes before my phone alarm goes off in the morning. And I bought this thing because I was feeling like death in the mornings. And I wanted something that would monitor my sleep quality. I mean, obviously these things are not accurate at all, but they'll give you the general idea how much you're sleeping, what your sleeping quality, how many times during the night you wake up, even if you don't remember it. And I was watching the data that this thing gave me, and I was like, most of the sleep is light sleep, as it should, because of their sleep cycles during the night. But I'm waking up, according to this thing, I'm waking up almost 10 times per night. So that kind of explains why I'm feeling so when I have to wake up. And according to my wife, I don't snore all that much because I don't usually sleep on my back. So I think it has something to do with this kind of a hyperactivity thing I was talking about. I think it was yesterday, when your brains are constantly in overdrive mode, or it feels like that. It also affects your sleep. So I think if it is some form of this fight or fright reaction or something, but still, I would like to get a blood test to see how high my cortisol levels are, the stress hormone. But there's no need for me to go to take a blood test, so. But anyways, and then what comes today, when I get back home, it's time to make some food. It's now a bit over 2 p.m. And then I still have some files to go through. There were more than I expected when I started browsing through my external hard drives and so forth. There's quite a lot more. I've done the mistake that I think many of us do, at least time to time. Take an external device where you have a lot of something and you just dump it into your hard drives, and while thinking that, okay, I'll sort these out later. When I looked into it, I've had quite a few of those occasions where I've just dumped a lot of, let's say, audio or photos or something onto the SSD that I'm cleaning up, thinking that I'll get back to this later, and then I forgot it. So there's quite a lot of stuff to go through. Although all the important videos are in the right place already, but then there are quite a lot of files that are just small folders with VST plugins or VST instruments or something like that. And I don't know which one of those I've already installed or I've already unpacked and put it into a right folder so I can use them. So there are quite a few VST instruments that I'm not sure if I've just downloaded them or if I've downloaded them and then unpacked them and put into a folders. So I have to go through my entire VST folder to see if I already have those in the right place or nada. And since I've been collecting all kinds of VST stuff over the years, that folder is kind of big. It's not big in size, but there's a lot of stuff in it. So that'll be a chore to do. And I watched through yesterday's vlog, my own vlog again. And I did immediately one thing. Now I have, come on boy, now I have this with me. Yesterday's vlog was partially a podcast because I forgot that this particular camera needs a lot of light. So it was bright enough for me when I was walking when I was walking on the street, I was thinking that okay, this light is efficient still, but no. And that's the reason I got this light or lamp in the first place. So I could have just uploaded yesterday's vlog as a podcast with heavy editing, because it was almost an hour long. And I actually cut out some things that were repetitive, too repetitive. So it wasn't the entire thing that I recorded, because if I would have done that, that vlog would have been something like hour and 20 minutes long. Maybe when I said yesterday that I don't want to edit and censor myself, I think it's good to do that every once in a while. If it's kind of a well, I wouldn't say necessary, but you know what I mean. It's good to edit yourself sometimes, because I think it's 58 minutes or something like that. Oh dear. But if you watch it through, congrats. Got what I needed. When I was standing in line for the cash-in or whatever, I glanced through the front pages of today's newspapers, and there was this one small, well, it's not headline is the big one, but one of these small things in the cover. That was about people who are living in a relationship where sex has died long ago. And then when I saw that, I remembered that about a year or two ago, I made this kind of a dive, pilgrim, whatever you want to call it, into modern social activism, civil activism, whatever it is. And feminism was included, or modern form of feminism was included into that kind of a mini study that I did, because I wanted to know what all these isms are. So I dug into this SJW racist, close the borders, kill all men, whatever websites and blogs, and because I wanted to know what the hell is going on. Why are some people so disconnected from reality, or they seem to be? And I remembered reading some of these kind of articles, blog posts, messages, where there were some of these so-called modern feminists who were saying that if their man refuses to give them sex, they'll ditch him. And there were plenty of same-minded people going, yay, you go girl, don't be the suppressed one. But if a man says that one of women's responsibilities in a relationship is sex, social media would go mental in a nanosecond. So, nice double standard you have there. I also have to mention that when I was digging around into those different isms, I was trying to find the extreme ends. Because middle of the road people are usually very sensible ones, but I was trying to find the extreme ends of, let's say, racism, feminism, different kinds of political things. So I was going for the extreme ends and see how those things are. And if you do that, you don't have to dig all that deep until you see that the modern forms of different isms are kind of bundled or binded around or built around double standards. I am allowed to do this and this, but he, she, they are not. And if you ask why aren't they, or why isn't he, she, the answer is because of sexual orientation, political things, skin color, religion. Those are wrong. So this person or they cannot do this and this and this because there's something wrong in the way they think. or how they look. What happened to the concept of humanity? I mean, we are all human beings. We all should have same rights and responsibilities. So it's about, I don't know the right English term for it, but in Finnish it's hajoita ja hallitse. I'm trying to find the English version down here. You can see it right about there. So it gets very confusing, and that's what they want. They want to confuse you with different isms and different terms, different kind of lingo, while sounding convincing, because then you'll believe them. They can talk something that's completely out from the garbage bin, but it sounds so convincing that it's easy to believe. So in this case, like in many cases in life, I encourage you to do your own research before start believing into anything that has ism in the end. Back home, it's 4 p.m. time to get some food. And it has already become a meme, almost. Every time I go outside, something decides to crap on me. And this time it wasn't the camera, it was my phone. And it went with the classical Apple way. I have 27% battery life left. I'm dead. Father-daughter moment, we're making salad. So, and being precise, it's a feta salad, but you're not allowed to call this feta cheese because this is not made in Greece. So it's in English it's just salad cheese. So we'll go with it. And yes, I know there are more differences between feta cheese and salad cheese than just the name. I was just trying to simplify things. And by doing that I was spreading false information. God damn it! When I was browsing through just random daily vlogs earlier today, because I wanted to see what kind of daily vlogs people are doing these days. So I just typed in daily vlog to the search bar and just watched random videos from that list. And I noticed one thing that I've already noticed it when it comes to Finnish YouTube scene. But since there are more people in the international YouTube or on international YouTube, it's more easier to see. It's clearer to see. Let's say that I'm a daily vlogger and I'm an active follower of some other daily vloggers. If I talk about something that I've seen on someone else's video, in my own video, there are always people who are taking it as slandering, as something negative. Question, what happened to the concept of commenting? Because obviously if I'm talking about someone else's video, I'm mostly commenting it. I'm mentioning some things that maybe I agree with, maybe I don't agree with, but it has always been about commenting, with the exception of certain videos that have been only about a certain thing. And then I started thinking about those people who are constantly searching for the smallest reasons to be offended over. Well, those people have always been around, but their social media just gives them a platform to scream even louder than what they can without it. And there's a concept that those people don't know how to bend, or they don't seem to know how to bend. They only know how to break. For example, what comes to, and as I said, people like these have always been around, but what comes to my grandparents' generation, for example, if I'm thinking about my grandfather who's still alive, he's a humble, quiet man in his late 80s. And as long as I can remember, when he has seen or heard an opinion that he doesn't approve with, he ignores it, just pushes it aside, no thoughts given, anything. That's the way it should be, because things have turned kind of upside down, and these offenders don't realize it, and that's hilarious, because by screaming their own opinion, their own other opinion about something that someone says, and obviously, mind you, this only applies to opinions. If you see actions that you don't approve, then there are times when you have to act. So I'm not talking about actions, I'm only talking about opinions. Things that are coming out from people's mouths. But anyways, sidetracked once again. Well, by screaming on social media, for example, how these and these people are wrong, they are not actually pushing those people down, if you see what I mean. They are actually amplifying the other side's opinions, things that the other side has to say, if you catch my drift. If everybody ignores a bad opinion, it gets ignored. But when there are people who are starting to kind of yell out their own opposite opinion, then you're giving attention to that opinion you don't approve. So you're amplifying their message. And that creates a cycle. Human is a wonderful being. Different camera, same story. My blogging camera is still cold, and I think the battery is a bit so we'll use this. After doing that Bob Dylan cover a few days ago, I started reading this. Memoirs of Bob Dylan, Part 1. And these are something I'm collecting actively. Biographies, and if I can have my way, autobiography. Because in many cases, what comes to musicians or artists of any kind, there are quite a lot of unofficial biographies being released, and those books are being gathered or put together from newspaper articles, from music magazines, and usually the only people who have been interviewed for that book are something like old friends, maybe some relatives, business insiders, but they are not being approved by the subject themselves. It can be a band, it can be an artist, whatever. So if I can have my way, it's always autobiography. And I have quite a few of them. Quite a few of them from, well, mostly musicians, but there are also something like Salvador Dali. If you haven't read that, try to find it and read it. And if you really want to do some mental gymnastics, read this. In Finnish, this is called Kaaoksen ruhtinaat. In English, it's called Lords of Chaos. A book about early 90s Swedish Norwegian black metal scene. And as a book, this is kind of entertaining, but still. The picture the writers are trying to paint is about Norwegian Satan worshippers who are burning down churches and sacrificing people for their Lord and Savior. But if you do some research of your own, according to the official investigation report, no signs of Satan worshipping was ever found. No evidence about rituals, black magic, nothing. And according to the people responsible for those church burnings, for example, it wasn't an attack against Christianity. it was an attack against the system. So basically the overall attitude was fuck the police. Where's the truth? I was going to say let's find out, but all jokes aside, the truth is somewhere out there. And if you want to find it, you can try to find it. And my opinion, my personal opinion, bunch of teenagers holding their middle fingers high towards the establishment. So rebellion, age-old trademark of youth. Although historically important churches burnt down and at least 2 people killed. Extreme? Maybe? That's what happens when people are taking too seriously the things they don't really understand. Because if you want to know things about black magic, there are sources. If you want to know things about what was before, let's say, Christianity, there are sources you can look up. But if you're trying to be, and this is not about the Norwegian black metal guys anymore, but in general level, if you want to go deep, what comes to human psyche and old kind of rituals and beliefs, there are sources still, although Christians try to destroy pretty much everything they could because it was against their religion. But there are sources. But if you want to search things, want to get familiar with those things, don't play with things you don't understand. It'll mess your head pretty badly. But anyways, it's now almost 7:30 in the evening. And I think I'm going to wrap this thing here. Because there's not much for me to do anymore except reading. Maybe trying to come up with some. I had this, well, this has happened to me before and I stumbled into it back again. Like many musicians or writers like that, I'm using my phone as a memory bank. So I'm kind of humming, playing, singing things to this. Just for memory's sake, when I don't have an actual recorder on me. And today I found a riff that I wanted to use. It's this kind of a descending picking thing for an acoustic guitar. I don't remember how to play it. I played it and I remember that it's not all that long ago. It was about a week ago when I recorded it. But I don't remember a thing about how to play it. It's not that hard, but the fingering lost my mind. Lost from my mind. So I have to see if I can figure it out again. And this is not the first time. I have some old riffs back from early 2000s, late 90s that I've found that have resurfaced. I have no idea how to play them. But yeah, well, see ya.